Hello and welcome to the show. It is that time once more for 3 vehicles to be destroyed around this bajarama circuit, and we are starting today with the Bitron B2. Yes, the most creative of names. It is an interesting car actually to have modded into this game. It's always cool to see something a little bit different, something that you perhaps would not expect. Not massively sure it's going to survive very long around this course. The small front-wheel drive hatchbacks don't have a particularly great track record. The issue with being front-wheel drive, and especially when it isn't a crazy powerful version, you see the Covert rally car, yes, that was very, very good indeed. One of only 3 cars to make it on to 4 laps, but it was very, very fast. And this is not. It's got a 1.5 litre engine. It's not got the speed to get across these jumps, so we are going to have, I suspect, some quite nasty landings such as that. Ooh, got away with that one, that's okay. Bumper's a little bit, ooh, the whole front end's a little bit buckled, but never mind. Yeah, we're going to have some awkward landings because we're simply not fast enough. How did we break the radiator there? I don't know, but the radiator's gone already. That's not, yeah, it's not particularly great, although it's the wheel axles that are the real concern. Because across these jumps, you know, we're landing on the front of the car, it's, well, the front wheels that take the brunt of the force, and all it takes is the loss of one wheel axle, and it is pretty much game over. We have rolled the rolled the car. I think we managed to make a coupe version. Kind of a coupe version from one corner, and a normal one from the other. Oh dear, it is a little bit on the squished side. When we roll over, that's fine. You know, that damage is... Okay, we might damage the structure slightly, but yeah, if all the energy goes through crushing the roof, I can live with that. I can live with that, not go through any of the important mechanical workings. Are we going to be quick enough? Oh, we just made it across radiator springs. It isn't only just, though. That front right is looking decidedly second-hand. That's a concern. It's not snapped off, though. That's the important thing. It's not snapped off, and we do still have steering. Because, of course, with a front-wheel drive car, we lose a wheel axle, we lose one of the front wheels, and the diff is going to pretty much stop us from going anywhere. You know, just, it won't work. Basically, it's not quite ideal with the way that wheel is buckled. It means that we're probably going to have, we'll possibly have issues keeping it on the ground. Ooh, or maybe if we smack the other corner back, we could just move both of the front wheel axles. Actually, that has, I think, kind of fixed it. Yeah, we've basically just knocked both of the wheel axles back, and that's fine. If they can both stay level, doesn't matter if they're not quite where they were initially, as long as they stay in one piece. Now, the motocross section, this is pretty brutal for cars like this. The original Covert, that's where, well, this is what killed it, down these sections, because it is just jump after jump onto the front end. If the radiator died so easily early on, I suspect if it hadn't gone then, it would have gone by now. It would have easily gone down that motocross section. Are we quick enough? No, we are. Oh, we got across it okay. In fact, what we might have done, interestingly, with our little car, is because we've shunted the front back, essentially, both of the front wheel axles are kind of shunted a fair way back. We're now actually crashing onto the bodywork and the chassis at the front, rather than those wheel axles, which might mean, oh, there's a fire. Oh dear, it's not so good. Not so good when we have the car on fire. Don't know what's caused this one. There's no... when there's like an engine fire, it doesn't give you a cause. It doesn't tell you what's gone. Just every so often they go up. Like with the muscle cars, the 2 muscle cars that have caught fire, it was the fuel tank ruptured that gave way. It doesn't tell us. And it is the same with the Covert. I think something else might have gone up, but I'm not sure what did. It's not good news, that's for sure. Our steering has started to take a battering. One of the front wheels is... Yeah, I mean, the camber on that left-hand side is pretty awful. I can just hear my kitten currently rummaging around and sneezing. I can't figure out where he is. He's probably off causing trouble. But never mind. We have a car that is still moving. The concern with a fire is that while it's not going to stop the car per se, it is when it gets to the tyres, when it expands around the car. That's what got the muscle cars. The fuel tank goes up. In fact, the whole car goes up, and it loses your tyres. This fire, to be fair, doesn't seem to be spreading particularly. It's quite a localised engine fire. The engine is now starting to overheat, which isn't great. To be fair, if this car goes out from overheating, I will be quite impressed that it's held on for that long. Because, yeah, these sort of cars tend not to. The fire is in that front right corner. Oh, it's got the tyre now. I think it's got the tyre. I don't really want to stay stationary. I don't know if me moving affects the way that the tyres or the way that the fire burns through the car. I somehow doubt it. Particularly, coolant is starting to overheat. Yeah, that's always going to be a problem. I have to drive this car. If we're going to get any speed at all up for these jumps, you have to drive this car incredibly, incredibly hard. So there's very little that you can do about the overheating problems once that radiator is gone. Oh, God. Come on, car. We can make it. We can make it across radiator springs. Perhaps the rear... Oh, no. I'm about to say the rear suspension is holding up quite well. I think that jump there may have killed it because it's now... Look at the rear wheels wobble. It's now not looking too good. I have seen a lot worse, though. I have seen an awful, awful lot worse. Radiator springs this time. I'm not sure we're going to make it across. Come on, little Bitron. We can do it. We can't do it. Well, we can actually surprisingly survive that. I mean, we've made it across the jump. That fire is... the fire's not really spread. I thought it was, but I think it's just because we're stationary now. Really surprised now. It has got slightly bigger. There's now kind of... Oh, it's kind of in the footwell of the car, which isn't ideal, I'll be honest. The fact that it just came out with the piston rings damaged. Oh, that's spread a lot now. Oh, didn't mean to change up a gear. That's my stupid. That has spread. Oh, it's got the entire car has just got the oil's over. I think the driver would be overheating at this stage, quite frankly. It's just all gone. That was in a matter of, well, 10 seconds really. We went from being a relatively small localised fire in the engine bay to the entire Citroen. It's all gone. It's just all on fire. Basically the tyres are still holding out. I mean, the head gasket was damaged. Oh, there goes the front left tyre. Oh, the front right tyre, sorry. That's not great news. There goes the other tyre. I think that's the engine gone in the end. Unless we can start it up. No, we cannot. It's dead. The B2 is a spectacular fireball in the front end there. I don't think we ever actually had the conrod bearings damaged. I don't know if the fire turned the engine off and now it's just too damaged to refire. Is quite possible. I might not have noticed the message coming up amongst all the things that were breaking in our car. However, it made it onto its second lap. It made it further than the Sunburst rally car, for example. For a front-wheel drive, relatively low-end hatchback, it's not bad going. And if you're going to go out, going out in a blaze of glory is certainly one way to do it, and the B2 has not disappointed. Our next vehicle to tackle the course is the Soylad 4000 vehicle, based on the Pontiac 6000, I believe. All right, the forum post right, and very much along the lines of the Legrand as well. Now, the Legrand itself didn't fare amazingly well around this course. It went out on the start line as it went to start its second lap. I believe that was with drive axle failure. We're going to see if this car can fare any better. Now, I've gone for the towing package on this one. It's I think it shares the same engines as the Legrand. This is a decent-sized V6 with some shorter gear ratios. My hope is... Oh, and heavy-duty suspension might be good for surviving the bumps. My hope is combine the suspension with shorter gear ratios and a decent amount of power. We might actually be able to get the acceleration needed to get across some of these jumps. Almost perfect. Almost perfect. We kind of landed on the chassis. Well, we haven't taken out the drive shaft, and we've avoided damaging the radiator or the front wheels or the rear wheels. So, oh. God damn it, it's the second bit that's getting the radiators on these cars. I'm disappointed. I shall say. I am disappointed. I thought this, with a decent amount of overhang at the front as well, would protect that radiator very, very well. Apparently not. It might just be unlucky, but yeah. Oh, clonk, clonk, clonk. No, we're good. We're good. We're good. Fine. I thought we got a little bit of a bent wheel, but it's certainly it is pulling us a little bit to the left, but it's got bent wheels at the front as well. It's not the worst thing I've had to deal with, so we will live with that. Are we going to have the acceleration to get across radiator springs? Oh, we did make it. We have still got all of our wheels functioning. All of the wheels are working, and that's a pleasant surprise. Actually, quite a crunching hit. Again, not perfect condition by any means. Again, it's actually kind of just sort of shunted the wheel axle back rather than snapping it off entirely. Yeah, the handling's crap. Huge amount of overhang now for that front right. Don't think we're going to break the front right wheel axle anytime soon. And I guess if we do a similar thing that we did with the B2, we will end up with the wheel axles kind of protected by the bodywork and by the chassis a bit better than, well, kind of initially intended. Our rear suspension is also seeming to hold up, ooh, relatively well. That's going to hurt. Ooh, got away with it. Yeah, the rear suspension is seeming to hold up okay. The car is now pulling about a fair bit, which is less than ideal, and you end up perhaps taking off from some of these jumps at a bit of an awkward angle that you don't intend to, as the car will suddenly veer when you're not expecting it to. It's actually dealing with these motocross sections very, very well. I don't feel like it's in any danger of suddenly completely and utterly catastrophically failing while bouncing around there, which is nice. Which is nice for a front-wheel drive car. That might give it some issues though. It's much like the B2, it's not quite quick enough to clear that jump. I did notice as we were going along the chassis is starting to bow, and that's a concern. As we get the car back onto its wheels, yeah, the chassis is starting to bend up. Now we could see the car, well, the chassis gets bent too much, it will just catch on the floor like we had with the Bolide, the stripped down Bolide. I've had it on the SBR4s as well, where the car got so bent that the chassis was, that's a an unfortunate catch on the ground as we slid along on our side. Ooh, something's gone snap in the front. Something else has gone completely and utterly snap in the front. Now, this is a front-wheel drive car, however, the diff will allow it to keep going. I seem to remember that being something that the Legrand did as well. I think that actually might have lost both of its axles when it died. So this obviously shares the same diff as that Legrand. I am pleased with that. I'm surprised more of the cars don't have a diff that will allow it to do this, because yeah, we are still going with that front right, a complete goner. We've made it further than the Legrand did, even with our issues. Yeah, with that tyre going down, we've got one-wheel drive and a lack of control at the back. One of our issues is going to be now to try and get this car going anywhere because of the loss of one of the wheels at the front. We are having to, again, work the car incredibly hard. The engine is going to overheat even quicker than the normal. I doubt it's going to make radiator springs, quite frankly. I don't think we're going to make it that far. Come on, car! Come on, car, you are smoking out of just about everywhere, but we're not on fire, which I guess is a slight crumb of comfort. It's not going to be much, though, for this vehicle. Yeah, interestingly, the piston rings went before the coolant overheated. Not normally the order that things go in the engine. We are, oh god, are we going to get stuck trying to climb up the hill? No, we can still do it, although it's not very good. We may actually get into issues. This is this is a new problem. We have not come across this one before. The drive. Okay, we're going to back it up. There isn't really rules regarding cars not having the drive to climb up a hill. I can't reverse if the car's lost steering. That is a rule for the broken down steerings. But for a car that's down to one-wheel drive and doesn't have the traction to climb a hill anymore, I didn't really put legislation in place for this. I didn't really expect it to ever be a problem. I think it's done for. I don't know how. I'm just going to blow the engine to bits doing this as well. Can we go for a diagonal approach? Okay, I'm trying not to just spin the wheels. We need to try and find some traction without stalling the car. I need to put enough power, though, to be going forwards. Come on, car. I'm amazed the engine is still working. I'm trying to inch my way along. If we can just get that front wheel over the edge there, it can't do it. It just can't get the front up this hill. Can we maybe sneak our way around? I can't do it. I think we've lost the car a little bit there. Oh, come on! The engine is going to die. I can't even now get it to go forward and then try and swing it round. Head gasket's gone. We might get one more attempt at this if we roll it down the hill. The problem is I can't even sort of get a run up nicely for this, as it's too broken. I think also with the head gasket damage, we're now going to have lost some power, and that's going to make matters even worse. Right, gently does it. I don't know if gently doing it is working here, is it? Because we're sort of struggling even more now. I'm not sure this side was a good way. Oh, I think I'm out of power. Yeah, the engine's gone. I think it might have stalled. No, that's the whole thing dead. That's a new one. That is a new one, an interesting one for the soil lad there. It has, yeah, the loss of the wheel axle at the front. We could keep going with one-wheel drive, but we lacked traction. We lacked traction to get up a hill, and the power, and I say lack the power, it wasn't really the lack of power, because we were sat there spinning the wheels. We had the power to spin the wheels. We just couldn't climb. We couldn't drag the rest of the car up from that one-wheel drive. We were a few millimetres away, really, although I do wonder if we'd hooked the wheel over the edge, if the car would have just bottomed out, because the chassis was already quite bent and buckled anyway. So I suspect if we had done, the car would have just got beached regardless, and in all the efforts to try and get it up the hill, the engine did overheat. Surprised how long it lasted with the amount of effort we were putting in trying to get it over that hill, but there we go. Well, there are continuing to be surprises in this series with the way cars go out. Our third and final vehicle for today is the Square Grand Marshal. Now, much like we had the 94 Corvette that was a modern interpretation, or a more modern interpretation of the game's standard Corvette, this is like an older version of the Grand Marshal, a classic Grand Marshal, if you will. And let's face it, as far as vehicles go for being good around the bajarama circuit, you can't really go wrong with the Grand Marshal. Only 3 cars have ever topped the leaderboard in this series so far, and the Grand Marshal held on to its lead for quite some time. So could this boxier, older version of the car do any better? Well, the plus points, again, we have massive overhangs on the car. Oh, our boot does appear to... Who forgot to install the bolts for the boot? Not that it's going to be particularly important. I know we're going to end up upside down, so we'll probably lose that. Some weight reduction might help us get across radiator springs. I've lost my train of thought completely with the loosening boot. Yes, overhangs on the car. Good, as we saw with the Caldera, for sort of protecting the radiator, keeping that radiator alive. The longer that the bodywork is taking damage, the better news that is. Although it's already fairly buckled at the front. Ooh, I think our suspension at the back is gone as well. That's a good start. Our suspension at the back is really bloody... Oh, God. Yeah, that's all sorts of ruined. Didn't last long. Oh, God. There is, I think, a bit more car on this. It's probably a fairly... a substantial sight heavier than some of the Grand Marshal variants. And that might not help matters across these jumps. Putting more load on that suspension. That's already crashing around a lot. Front right suspension is also pretty knackered. Front left isn't looking great. Okay, well, this is not a great start. However, the radiator is still working. I probably shouldn't say that, though, coming up towards Radiator Springs. Come on, car! Accelerate away! Across the jump we go! That's actually pretty solid. We made it in one piece. That's always nice. We are stuck with a crappy automatic gearbox. Nothing I can do about that one. In fact, I might have... Whoa, I had it in the 2 option for the gears. There's not even a cheeky way of getting a manual out of it. It is just... yeah. Crappy gearbox. The plus point of having the automatic is that when we break the radiator, I'm thinking we probably will break the radiator before the car does eventually die, because the game is going to be changing the gears, it's not going to have me buzzing the limiter as much. But there we go, speak of the devil. First motocross jump and it goes. Yeah, it's just simply not going to let me do that. The problem is, though, as we get more and more damage, we will probably have issues picking up speed, because the game, well, it won't, or the gearbox won't let me do that. So we might not be able to get across jumps as well, which means we're going to have big impacts, probably on radiator springs. That's the biggest concern. Yeah, it's something that we're going to have to deal with in this vehicle. Now, with the radiator gone in this car, oh, that was a big crunch at the front. Oh, we've lost a tyre. Lost the rear left tyre. That's the second car. We've not lost tyres before in this manner at all, and then we have 2 cars in one episode. that have had tyres go out. This might be a little bit more of a problem in this car than it was in our previous one, with, well, this being rear-wheel drive, and the last car being front-wheel drive. The loss of a rear tyre isn't a major concern for it. This might now suddenly become very, very oversteery. Probably not as oversteery as the flappy wheels Bazima, however, oversteery nevertheless. Right, across, oh yeah, we are probably, oh, this gearbox is so terrible. It's just there is no, whoopsie daisy, that's not quite, that was spectacular. I mean, again, bonus points for style right there, however, yeah, we've got flappy bits, we've got a very, very flappy bit of rear bumper. The boot has stayed on. I'm amazed it stayed on. I don't know where it's connected and how long that's going to remain. Oh, there we go, there's some of the sideways. The chassis is starting to get quite bent. Again, very, very similar way it's buckling up to the 4000. Perhaps not surprising, similarly sort of style of car. They're going to hit the front quite heavy. There's a lot of car behind the impacts as well, and it's going to bow up the front end. And yeah, if we can keep it off the, I say if we can keep it off the ground, if we can not bend it up so much that it starts getting caught on the ground, that would be ideal, because we may end up seeing another car going out through the buckled chassis. Oh, come on, car, with your terrible, terrible gearbox. We can make it up that hill. I don't want another car going out on that climb. Oh, that's a very, very accidentally sideways moment. The engine in this is certainly not staying as cool as the Grand Marshal police car. We have already got the temperature gauge rising. Might make it to the start of its third lap. I'm not sure it's going to go much further than that, and I mean, we have still got radiator springs to tackle, and we are struggling for speed at the moment, so I'm not full of confidence for radiator springs right here. Come on, car, this is it. You can do it. This is your moment to fly through the air with, yeah, I mean, it was a terrible, terrible jump, but the way we landed meant we got away without breaking anything. I'll take that any day of the week. We will take a miracle landing of not breaking anything. We are in serious trouble though with our overheating. Interestingly, yeah, that is not so good. We are starting to struggle for performance-wise. Oh, we're going to have a big tumble, and now we're stuck on our roof. We'll take let's just have a little bit of a look at the damage on the car as we get the camera out. Oh, I grab the door. Either way, we're over. Doesn't really matter. Front bumper is pretty much wedged right in to the front of the chassis, into the radiator and so on. Probably not so good for radiator, but also good for cooling, having not that there's any coolant left in it, I suspect, but yeah, having the bumper in the radiator, or where the radiator should be, isn't great. Right, across the jumps we go. I don't know if Beam simulates it, but if you get like debris in front of your radiator, does that overheat your engine? That'd be quite a cool thing to have. So if you just sort of bent up the front bumper in such a way that it covered the radiator, would that stop the radiator doing its cooling job? Don't know. Maybe something to investigate at some point. Oh, we're still not quick enough for that. We've lost one of the exhausts, or was that both of them in one go? Maybe we've lost both of them. Maybe the other one went to some other point and I didn't notice it fall out of the vehicle. Now we've got the oil that is on the overheating path. Head gasket's gone. It is going to be a limp around, I think. Maybe making it onto its third lap if we can. Well, if we don't break anything on these next few jumps. The front catching on the floor, starting to catch on the floor. That would probably eventually become the vehicle's downfall. It's not really going to matter. There goes the corn rod bearings and the horrible, horrible clanky noise from the engine. Piston rings have gone as well. It's almost onto the third lap. Come on, car, you can make it. There we go. It's not got much left. In fact, it's not got anything left, really. I'm in drive. Can I do anything? No. It's gonna grind to a halt just at the start of its third lap. It's about a similar point. I'm not quite sure if it might have rolled a little bit further than the diesel Pazima estate car that had a twist and broke a wheel axle with all sorts of suspension damage. Yeah, the overheating on this one went up pretty quickly on the Sunburst. Made it further with that overheating engine, as did the D-Series that entirely melted the block of the engine before that thing came up. The fiery Moonhawk as well, off by the fence over in that direction. We did make it onto 3 laps though, which is not too bad, but of all the Grand Marshals that have gone, even the one towing the caravan, this has gone the least distance. So yeah, a little bit surprised actually. I thought this might survive a bit better, but no, relatively early damage anyway to the radiator would see this this vehicle go out, and if it hadn't, I suspect the again huge issues with the chassis on this car. Also not helped by a terrible gearbox and losing a tyre. Although I think the gearbox was too awful for us to really be able to use the power to have any issues with the loss of the tyre on that one. But yeah, there we go. We have a rather deaded square Grand Marshal. So it is on to our leaderboard, and the Square Grand Marshal would be the best vehicle of the day, making it just on to 3 laps in. That is into 20th place, is the lowest distance obtained on the 3rd lap. Loses out just fractionally to the diesel Pizima, the likes of the Roma, and so on. Decent enough showing from that car. Might have expected a little bit better. The Bitron would go into 26th place, only a little bit further down the leaderboard on its 2nd lap. While yes, it was technically through overheating, certainly a rather spectacular fire befell that car. I think it did get quite lucky with the way that the wheel axles kind of got shunted back and protected a lot, because that's not bad going on towards the end of a 2nd lap for a front-wheel drive car. We do have to go down a fair bit further for the Soilad 4000. That is in 38th place on the leaderboard. A unique failure to that vehicle there, with it not being able to climb the hill. I do wonder, had the Legrona not broken down in the manner which it did, it snapped a wheel axle, it just started its 2nd lap, if that had still been working by the time it got the hill, whether that would have worked. Turns out one wheel, front wheel drive, does not really work for climbing up hills, but there we go, some advice for BeamNG drive off-roading. That, though, is going to be it for this video. As ever, I shall link all the mods I've used in the description, so you can download them, have a go with them yourself. But thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.